Hello everyone. If you ever worked as part of the management team, you will probably experience some level of dissatisfaction with your salary at one time or another. Maybe you feel your efforts were undervalued, or you learned that another member earned more is your peer. So over time, that feelings of unsatisfaction will make you feeling bad, and it's not good for the efficiency of the whole team. So here, we are provided self-set salary system for everyone, and we believe that self-set salary system can provide a positive impact on company culture. So what is the process of the self-set salaries? So first, you reflect privately and think appropriate salary for yourself. And after that, you will discuss with the people who evaluates your work and ask how they think about your salary amount. And after that, fill out a salary form and collect feedback about the form. Ask your supervisor whether he or she agree with this form and publish this and get the salary next month. And under this traditional salary system, employees always feel that undervalued, and the salary system is also non-transparent. If in some coincidences employees suddenly know there is a salary differences between peers, jealousy and unfair feelings will tear the team apart. Firstly, self-set salary can make employees feel responsibility. And secondly, in this way, the salary system is totally transparent and the atmosphere between colleagues will be better. And everyone knows that if we don't have efficiency system, everything will be screwed up. And every employee in our organizations will just hang around in the ground without a clue, just like this. And here, after introduce the processes of self-set salary system and why we provided this, and here we will give the 4 deeper reasons for the benefit of the self-set salary system.
So why don't the team members ask for ridiculous sums, and why does it make them work better? So when a company operates within a closed payroll, for which management determines the salaries, team members often make assumptions about each other's earnings and can end up feeling undervalued. These feelings can lead to muddled work relationships, a poorly functioning team, and people even leaving the company to seek higher pay somewhere else. And this is why transparency is very important when letting employees choose their own salary. Within the last few years, research has shown that employees will perform better if they do not only know the salary of their own, but also the one of their peers. In addition to that, today we live in a world where social media and the general sharing culture, plus the internet overall, have highly influenced our society. So employees have the chance to look up everyone's salary everywhere at any time they want. So therefore, it is very important for companies to respond to this impact and become more transparent when it comes to salary information. So when a salary is not a mystery anymore and a company operates in a very transparent way, not only trust of employees in the company increases, but also protection against gender and racial bias is created. So when employees choose their own salary, both types of transparency, firstly process transparency and full salary transparency, need to be implemented. Therefore, employees will not only know the exact amount of the salary of their co-workers, but they will also know how exactly this amount is derived. So speaking of transparency as being a very important aspect when it comes to letting your own employees choose their own salary, this approach is not particularly new. For instance, the co-CEO of Whole Foods in the US recognized the harm in keeping salaries in a secret more than 3 decades ago. So he made compensation available to all employees within the company in order to promote competition and the feeling of responsibility for the own company of the employees. So he believed in a very high trust organization based on fully trust of the employees in the company so that they would feel the full responsibility for the company and their teams. So for the co-CEO of Whole Foods, it worked out very well.
My hack for self-set salaries is actually level earnings. So level earnings are extremely important in companies that decide to implement self-set salaries because it is generally shown in studies that individuals who choose to earn on the higher spectrum, which most individuals do, will actually forego raises and will even decrease their own salaries voluntarily in times of low profit. So what does that mean? Generally, there aren't any fights or issues about bonuses because in this case, bonuses are not important for the individual that works at the company because they have already set their salary as high as their expectation, so they're not expecting more. So that's actually why this is extremely positive for the company, and also because higher earners will motivate the lower earners, if they have success, to actually increase their salary. And this leads to somewhat of a clear image around the company of what everyone's earning and what they should be earning. So, for example, if someone's paying themselves a lot less than other individuals are, they will actually be motivated by the others to increase their salary. So this actually leads to an extremely strong sense of cohesion, a feeling that everyone is in it together, and that it not only benefits the individual, but actually benefits the entire company, because the individuals are actually under the impression that everyone's equal. So there's no longer this inequality because a boss or something has decided to give one individual a bigger bonus than the other individual. No, here the employee can decide by themselves, and everyone has the feeling that they're being paid for what they're actually working for and for the amount of work they're putting into everything. And if this is not the case, then generally everyone will talk about it. So the individual that's paying him or herself too much will actually be under the impression that they're actually paying themselves too much because other individuals are talking to that person and letting them know that they're not paying, that they're actually paying themselves too much.
Another important reason for this self-set salary system is for talent attraction. Because nowadays the companies are more and more pushed to knowledge economy, this provide a new acquire to companies that companies should rely on more on the employees' talent to keep competitive advantage and innovative ability. Without these two aspects, companies will shrink quickly, and as self-set salary system can improve the employees' incentive, and the system has a natural advantage to make employees feel like the host of the company. Not only they will work harder and try to contribute more to retain the position, but also more and more talented employees will be attracted by the system.
To implement self-set salaries is self-determination. Studies have shown that personal autonomy is the most important factor contributing to employee satisfaction. It is even more important than financial incentives. When employees were given the opportunity to set their own salaries, they regarded this choice itself as part of the compensation, as it contributed to their happiness and satisfaction at work. One example of how self-determination can work is the company in Centro. The company organized a basic finance workshop for all employees where they learned how revenue, costs, and profits were related and how the company itself was structured. As a part of this workshop, they were asked what salary increase they would find appropriate for achieving certain performance goals before reflecting on how this would impact themselves, the group or the department, and the company as a whole. Now, what was the result of this? The result was that in the next year, salary increases rose from 4.5% to 4.9%, but this wasn't as interesting as the fact that there was a significant increase in employee satisfaction. They felt more empowered and were more engaged and motivated at work because they felt more respected as they were allowed to set their own salary. There are also different models to self-determined salaries. For example, the business case model, where each employee pitches a business case or proposes a salary increase, which is related to this. This number is benchmarked with performance, market rates, etc., and is transparent to all employees. One downside of this method, however, is that negotiation periods can be very long for the individual business cases. However, this can be resolved by using a third approach, which is implementing compensation committees. In these, some selected employees calibrate and provide feedback for salary proposals.